always keeping you ahead of the changing weather.
All right, good morning, everybody. Here, Thursday, closer and closer to that potential winter storm event that we're still tracking right now. Yep. Still some setup there, and the likelihood still kind of elevated for the potential of some ice there, Riley.
Yeah, what's new this morning, Tim, is that we have our first winter weather alerts that have been put out for the northern CSRA. So if you've been following us along the last couple of days, we've been kind of highlighting that I-20 corridor, and especially north of that. That's what we're expecting the highest chance to see some winter weather impacts. So right now we do have a new winter storm watch highlighted in that Tar Heel blue color right there from Wilkes, Lincoln to McCormick County and anywhere north of that. So once again, whoever is underneath that winter storm watch right now, that's where conditions look highest for ice totals over 1/4 of an inch. Right. And once we get over 1/4 of an inch, now we're starting to talk about some pretty decent impacts across the area, not just slick spots on roadways, but maybe some isolated utility disruptions too.
Yeah, right. And so kind of in this point here, we're kind of getting in a little bit closer window. Models coming a little bit clearer. We're able to get more of a high resolution model involved now, which is kind of giving us more into that Saturday trend for, you know, being able to get just a little bit better picture. So some variations in models still happening a little bit more, but you know, as Riley's talking about, the farther north you go, you run into the upstate of South Carolina and you run into areas in North Georgia. That's where the totals right now just seem to continue to look the highest. So we've got some up here, right here, some totals. Yeah, and we've gone ahead and kind of issued our first forecast for how much ice we're expecting across the area. As Tim was saying, now that we're kind of getting into that higher resolution guidance, a little bit better confidence in what exactly we could see. So for those counties that are currently underneath a winter storm watch, well, you have the potential to see over 1/4 inch of ice. Worst case scenario, maybe up to 3/4 of an inch of ice. And as you just kind of climb up those ice totals, impacts get worse and worse and worse. And if you get 3/4 of an inch of ice, that's power outages that don't last just a few hours. Those can definitely last days. Now, for us here around the I-20 corridor, I still think we're in a chance. Maybe on the higher end, we could get up to 1/4 of an inch, but it looks like those ice totals definitely will go down the further south you get into the CSRA. So for many of our southern counties like Johnson, Emmanuel, Jenkins, Screven, Allendale, Bamberg, maybe you get just a glazing of ice to possibly not see any ice, because it'll come down to 1 to 2 degrees to where it really will.
We see accumulating ice or just plain old cold rain.
Yeah, we've seen temps stay as warm as now. The temp range that we've talked about, you may see that, well, we're looking at a high of 42, 43. That's midnight, because all the temperatures are going to do is continue to drop throughout the day. It's not like we're looking at keeping 45 in there right around noontime to 8 o'clock at night. They just continue to get colder. But yeah, some areas could just see a cold rain the farther and farther you kind of stretch down farther south. So I love seeing the way it's trending a little bit more for the area. It's still unfortunate that there's still kind of that high probability, because 3/4 of an inch and more is just pretty devastating of what that could do to our area up there in some of those northern counties.
It has improved from the last couple of days, though. I know updates earlier in the week were showing
that was ridiculous,
over an inch of ice for the entire area. So things have trended in the right direction, but we're still in that zone of impacts being felt across the area, especially near and north of I-20. And we actually just got into our winter storm severity index here for our Saturday. We'll go ahead and click on Saturday right here and kind of show you. So minor impacts still expected to be as far south as, say, basically a line from Sandersville all the way through Girard over to Allendale, and north of that up to I-20. Anywhere north of I-20, we're talking about moderate impacts. We'll have more on what exactly this is telling us after a very short break. All right, welcome back, folks. We were just taking a look at the winter severity index heading into the weekend. And right now, this only goes out through Saturday. But starting Saturday, we are expecting at least some minor, possibly moderate impacts to be felt across the area. Generally, looking at that I-20 corridor and anywhere north of that to see the worst concerns. There it goes. Finally pops up there.
It's a slow one.
Lauren, if we could just make this full screen so people can see it a little bit better, we'll just kind of talk over it. But wherever you're seeing that orange color, that includes the counties that are currently underneath the winter storm watch. That's where we're expecting very hazardous travel, maybe some utility disruptions. You can see that drops as far south as around Aiken County, too, on the South Carolina side of the river. And also Edgefield, Saluda County, you're included in that, too. So that could be found as soon as Saturday, lasts all the way until we get to Sunday morning. Now, we are anticipating to get above freezing as we head towards our Sunday afternoon. That will help melt anything that is out there, but then we drop below freezing again heading into our Sunday night and Monday morning. So where we are expecting those best impacts is going to be where we're expecting at least a quarter inch or more of ice. So it would lead to those disruptions you're looking at right there. So iced over roadways, not going to be able to travel on the roads as this starts to pick up and our temperatures are below freezing. Outages look likely, but it's really once you get over that half-inch threshold, you're looking at more widespread power outages across the area. But another factor in this forecast, Tim, is that we'll likely see a little bit of wind, and wind can definitely have a substantial impact on how much disruptions you see with an icing event. So some gusts, maybe 20 plus as this starts to fall Saturday into our Saturday night. So with the addition of wind gusts up to and over 20, well, that could make it lean more towards a crippling storm instead of just disruptive if it does play out like that.
Yeah, and even the talk is to go out to Monday of wind gusts between 25 and maybe 30. So yeah, we're talking extremely cold air, and whatever's accumulated, it's getting thrashed around on the power lines, and the weight of the ice accumulated on there it'll be easy to snap those. So it'd be a very dangerous situation for that. The run through for today, what we're looking at here is just maybe a few showers. Haven't really noticed some yet, but just kind of looking at potential today and tomorrow. We're going to be well above freezing in the morning tomorrow. Again, we started off in the 40s, and then we kind of run it on through Friday afternoon where we're drying out for a little while. We're going to start, you just see those mid to low 40s at midnight, and this is probably an updated run here of our in-house graph model. This is where it just starts getting right around that threshold of the freezing mark, Riley.
And one thing we've noticed with this higher resolution guidance is that it does bring our temperatures down to freezing. So this was a big factor in the forecast. When do we drop below freezing? Do we have to wait until much later Saturday night, or does it occur Saturday afternoon? And we've been waiting on this higher resolution model guidance to help us understand what our temperature profiles will look like, because our higher resolution guidance does a much better job of handling the wedge, that cold air damming that we're expecting to happen heading into the weekend. So it looks like the graph is picking up on the wedge. Dropping far enough south to where we do get below freezing in many spots starting Saturday afternoon, dropping even colder as we head towards our Saturday evening. Now we're into the mid and upper 20s. So this is trending, as far as temps go, trending colder than a lot of the global models are currently showing. So this is kind of where the fine tuning of the forecast comes into play. Maybe the global models had the track and position of the low decently, but they weren't handling the temperatures being as cold as what this wedging can do to us. So this is going to be the concern. We see that precipitation continue overnight into our Saturday and into early Sunday, and our temperatures will stay below freezing most of our Saturday night. So that's kind of when we have our highest confidence for those temperatures to be concerning, where anything that does fall will be freezing on contact. And our graph model only goes out until 7:30 a.m. Sunday. By this afternoon, our latest run will go out until about 2 p.m. on Sunday. So these are the big updates we're watching now, is kind of what the graph is going to be showing. And right now it doesn't necessarily have a ton of precipitation Saturday night into Sunday. There is some, but not quite as much as what some of the global models. So good and bad. Less precip, but colder temps is what it's
still makes
showing.
it a challenge, though, folks. It still makes it challenging here. What do we got? We got a quick break here, and we'll come back and kind of finish up with a little bit more thought process.
Welcome back in, folks. This is kind of a breakdown of the major headlines going into the first alert this weekend. So, as we were talking about, we possibly could get below freezing as soon as Saturday afternoon. I think highest confidence we're below freezing most of Saturday night through Sunday morning. Freezing rain does look likely for a good portion of the area, especially here along I-20, anywhere north of that. That will lead to some pretty significant travel conditions and also maybe some utility disruptions too. North of I-20 is the highest chance, could be as far south as here is the I-20 corridor. But the winter storm watch right now includes Wilkes, Lincoln, McCormick County. I would imagine we see more counties added to that as confidence starts to increase with higher resolution guidance coming out in the next day or two.
I'll just kind of go back to this one graphic that kind of breaks it down layer by layer for the entire viewing area if it wants to show up. There it is. So kind of, as he talked about, higher thresholds for more accumulating ice north of I-20, but still kind of the fine line of 20 north. And then as we start heading farther south, less and less, but still 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch is not great at all here. And then more, which could be kind of just cold rains to maybe the glaze when you get from Washington County, Burke County, all the way to Bamberg and farther south towards I-16 and down into southern Georgia here. So that kind of talking on that again, just once again, this one takes a little bit to load, but it is the not going to happen. Okay, well, it's taking its sweet time. It is the watch warning map for just Lincoln, McCormick counties for the northern half of the CSRA that have that winter storm watch. There's so much updating that it just slows it down. But we've got Fastcast coming up, and we'll have much more right here. Stay with us. Here's Nick.